Hello, second graders. This is Mrs. Briggs here with Module 1, Lesson 24, Deep Dive. Today you're going to need your blue book. We're going to look at that checklist that we've been using, our writing checklist, and you will need your copy of the paragraph you are working on. Let's dive in. Echo read after me. Our craft question is, how can writers make sure to use a variety of sentences in their writing? Awesome. So a variety means a little bit of everything, right? We don't want the same simple sentences over and over again. We want to mix it up a little bit. So how can we do that? Let's look at an example an example paragraph. Remember, a paragraph is a group of sentences. Whoa, that was really thick. Let's change that. A group of sentences together, and we have this thing called an indent. That means there's a little space in front of that first sentence to show the start of a paragraph. So we're going to look at this paragraph together. It might be similar to the one that you looked at in class. It might be similar to the one that you wrote on your own. We're going to look at how we use conjunctions in our writing. Okay, so we're going to choral read. That means read together. I will highlight as we read so you can follow along and read with me. Ready? Changes in weather cause the many different colors of leaves. At first, the summer air holds a lot of sun and water. The chlorophyll in the leaves absorb this sun, water, and air. Then the temperature gets colder in fall, so there is not as much sun for the leaves to absorb. The leaves stop making chlorophyll and green color begins to disappear. Finally, the other colors in the leaves can be seen. All these changes in weather help trees get ready for the cold winter. Nice job. Okay. Now we're going to look at this paragraph a little closer. We just read it together. We're going to find compound sentences and we're going to underline them. Then we will highlight the conjunctions and make sure they are used correctly. What are conjunctions again? Can you think of 3 examples of conjunctions? You practiced using them in Deep Dive 23. Hopefully you thought of words like and, but, and so. Those are 3 conjunctions that we have been working on. Now, compound sentences are 2 simple sentences combined together to make one compound sentence. And we have to use our conjunctions to connect the 2 sentences. So as we're looking through this paragraph, can you find any of the compound sentences? It might help to look for those conjunctions first. I'm going to pause a second to give you a chance to find them. Okay, if this was not enough time, pause the video. Okay, let's look. Here we have our paragraph, and I've underlined the compound sentences. So I'll underline them again in red. So here's one. Then the temperature gets colder in fall, so there is not as much sun for the leaves to absorb. That is one compound sentence. We highlighted the word so because that is our conjunction. And notice there's this little guy here. Did you see that? That's called a comma. We need to put a comma before the conjunction when we make our compound sentences. Another compound sentence is the leaves stop making chlorophyll and the green color begins to disappear. Again, we have 2 simple sentences connected with a conjunction, and our conjunction in this sentence is the word and. And look what we have over here. A comma. The comma needs to go before the conjunction when you combine two simple sentences. Now let's take a closer look at the conjunctions that we used and make sure we used the correct conjunctions. So let's look at that first sentence that we underlined, the first compound sentence. Then the temperature gets colder in fall, so there is not as much sun for the leaves to absorb. The word so is used to combine these two sentences. When the word so, the conjunction so, is used to combine sentences, the sentence after the word so shows what happens or the result of something. So let's make sure that second part of the sentence is the result of the first part. I'll use a pink here. So let's look at the second sentence. We have, there's not as much sun for the leaves to absorb. Did that happen as the result of the temperature gets colder? Oh yeah, because the temperature gets colder, there's not as much sun for the leaves to absorb. So that pink highlighted sentence happened in the result of the temperature getting cold. Okay, so it shows what happens because of that first part. So can we use so for that one? Yes, we can. Would it make sense to say the temperature gets colder in fall, but there is not as much sun for the leaves to absorb? No, that wouldn't make sense because the second part of that sentence says there's not as much sun for the leaves to absorb, and that's because the temperature gets colder. So is the correct one to use there. Let's look at that second compound sentence. Underlined, starting with the leaves. Point to it on the screen so I know that you're with me. The leaves stop making chlorophyll, and the green color begins to disappear. And is used to combine these two sentences. So and is our conjunction here. And is used to add more information. It shows the second sentence is telling more about what happens when leaves stop making chlorophyll. So is and the correct conjunction to use? It sure is. Now it's your turn. I want you to reread your own paragraph that you have written and determine if you have used conjunctions to combine sentences. Do you have the words and, but, or so with a comma in front, combining two simple sentences? If you don't, I want you to find two simple sentences in your paragraph and turn them into a compound sentence. So find two sentences that you can edit or change and turn it into a compound sentence. You have your informative writing checklist. This is handout 24A. So if this is still in your book, please turn to it. We are going to look at one of the sections a little closer. Okay, so I have a purple box around the parts that we're going to focus on for this deep dive. So let's echo read the criteria or the things we need for style and conventions. So it says style here and then conventions. So we can echo read. I'll highlight in yellow as we do it. Repeat after me. I use words that are about the topic. I use simple and compound sentences. I combine sentences using and, but, and so. Now let's echo read the criteria for conventions. Ready? Repeat after me. Each of my sentences has one or more subjects and verbs. Awesome. Which one of these that I've highlighted yellow could we put a plus sign for if you did this last task here? I'll go back. If you went through your paragraph and found two simple sentences that you can combine into a compound sentence with the conjunctions and, but, or so, which one can we put a plus sign for? Good. If you have compound sentences and conjunctions, you can put a plus sign for using simple and compound sentences and combined sentences using and, but, or so. If you did that last task, you can put a plus sign there. Now reread your paragraph to see if you can check off I use words about the topic right here. So if you are talking about how leaves change color, if you have key terms like chlorophyll, temperature, sunlight, water, you used words about the topic and how weather changes leaves or makes an impact on the change of leaves, then you could put a plus sign here. If you don't, and you just talked about your favorite kind of pizza or what you did over the weekend, well, that's not talking about leaves. We would have to put this triangle or the delta symbol. As you reread, I also want you to think about if you have more than one subject and verb in each sentence, or at least one. So it needs to be a complete sentence, and we talked about how complete sentences need to have a subject, the who or what the sentence is about, and a verb, the action part. If you have complete sentences that make sense, that have both a subject and a verb, then you can also put a plus sign here. If you need to pause the video to take more time to reread or reread your paragraph closer and check to see if you can put plus signs here, you can pause the video now. Okay, we are coming in for a landing. Why is it helpful to sometimes use a checklist to assess our writing? Why is it helpful to use this checklist? Why is that helpful? Well, we don't use a checklist every time we write because that would make writing take too long. But sometimes we're writing something important that a teacher or other people will read. If we want that writing to be our best work, we can use a checklist to look for what we've learned, like using words about our topic or forming compound sentences. So it helps us really look at what work we've done and see, did we do our best work or are there things that we can work on? Thank you for doing your best today. Just a couple reminders. You should have reread your paragraph and looked at these sections of your checklist. Make sure you have put a plus sign or triangle for these specific areas. And make sure that you've also added compound sentences into your paragraph. If you did all of those things, you are done. Thank you for doing your best and have a great rest of the day.